Have you noticed that things feel a little strange? A little peculiar? That's because we're living in Bizarro World.
Very interesting.
What do you mean, very interesting? It was stupid.
Yes, it was stupid. But it was also very interesting.
Not as interesting as it was stupid.
Nonetheless, it was still interesting.
Stupid.
Interesting.
All right. It was interesting.
But it was also stupid.
Okay, you've already missed 2 minutes of my show. I cannot believe it. Had the music on and forgot to turn myself on. Well, here I am this morning. Oh, my goodness. Here we are. Anyways, what was I telling you before you say, Ann, you're nuts? Well, I was saying that Penny didn't really want to be up this morning, but she is up. We had been outside. The weather is going to be, mid-90s. I went through the weather report here this morning, mid-90s. No possibility of any real rain until possibly Sunday with about a 40% chance of some rain. Then I had just started telling you that what, Ann? I had just started telling you that it was hump day, and I felt that every day was hump day because I'm always getting over the hump, just trying to get here. Anyways, yesterday evening, the grass got cut yesterday, so it's beautiful out there in the backyard now. And I said, I think I'm going to get my bike and ride it. I tried to get Penny to go for a walk, and she just wanted to stand around down there in the field. So I said, well, I'll show you. I'll get on my bike, and you want to chase me around on my bike. Nope. She's just watching me riding around. I'm having a great time. I get to the top of the hill, and I go top of the backyard here on the grass, and I said, I think it's time I take it on the road. So Penny's down in the field, and she doesn't seem to be paying any attention. I thought I'll just drive up Eller Lane. So I go driving up Eller Lane. I was like, oh, my God, this is so much easier than riding my electric bike on the grass. Get up to the top, and I'm like, since many times when I had my other bigger, heavier bike, when I'd go to make a turn, I would dump myself on the ground. I said, well, I think I'll just go out on the sidewalk down there to McCall's, give myself a nice wide berth for a turn and come back. So I'm doing that, and I'm coming back, and all of a sudden I look on Eller Lane, and there is Penny coming up the driveway, just chasing right after me, and I'm looking at her, and she's looking at the road, and visions of when she was a young puppy and had no idea what the road was going through my mind. However, I did not see the man standing there who was walking his dog. And this very nice man says, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. I'm yelling at Penny, and she's all excited to see another dog. We have actual commotion going on. So as I'm getting closer and I made the turn, I was going to try to turn to go down Eller Lane, and dumps the bicycle. That's right, it's her first fall on the bicycle. Fortunately, it was on some grass, so I wasn't hurt too bad other than my ego and my pride. And having the man say, are you all right? Are you all right? And I'm like, he goes, don't worry about your dog. I got her. Anyways, so we converse for a few minutes, and then I take Penny, and I didn't even ride my bike down Eller Lane. I walked it with injured pride, walking down. So I'm taking her around to the back. I was going to put it up, and I said, I need to get back on that bike. I don't want to have bike fear. So I said, Penny, you want to go for a walk here? She's just looking at me. She's now exhausted. I said, well, I'm going to ride the bike. So she sat there at the top of the hill, and I took one more turn around on the grass and said, I guess I can do this. So overcoming obstacles is the theme of today's show. My example serves as one to show you it can be done. That's right. And that is why, coming in here this morning, I played
Never give up, never surrender. Never give up, never surrender. Never give up, never surrender. You heard it, WCRS. We will never give up, never surrender. Keep listening right here on WCRS. We try harder because we will never give up. We will never surrender.
Yay, we will never surrender. Some people do. Me, I'm just a fool for keeping going. There you go. All right, let's talk about some of the other things. We got a lot of big decisions being made. First off, I want to commend Darlene Graham. I don't know what's happened to her last name. They seem to have kind of dropped it off. No don't, I think it is. They've kind of dropped it off, which I think is kind of odd. But anyways, she was sworn in yesterday as the senator from South Carolina, taking over from her brother's role, and her term will run through January 3rd. Now, I don't believe she's actually going to run for office. She's simply there really to help finish up the projects that her brother was on, probably help with deciding how things will be moved out of his office, etc. But it was not lost on me or a lot of other people that I talked to yesterday, and I don't really understand the only thing that makes any sense at all. Well, what's the question, Ann? Well, the question is, why, 3 days after her brother died, did they have to swear her in to be a senator? I can only imagine how difficult this would be to have just unexpectedly lost your brother, and particularly brother that you were close to, and then have to get yourself all together and be sworn in as a senator. It would seem to me that should be a more, I'll use the word joyous occasion. I didn't see any of her family there, which I thought was a little odd. Tim Scott actually accompanied her to be sworn in on the Senate floor, but none of the I'll use the word pageantry, but it's not really pageantry, but being sworn in, getting the official pictures taken, the joy that most people that are in the Senate or the House feel about being sworn in. There was none of that. The only reason I can see that one would have to do that as quickly as they did is because the margins are so tight in the Senate. That is the only thing that I could see as far as that goes. So maybe that's the reason. And of course, we can't count on Mitch McConnell because we don't know what real status he's in. How would you like to be Mitch McConnell? Or his staff. And I'm being a little macabre here, but these are the things that go through my mind sometimes. We had a big discussion. Is Mitch McConnell alive? Is his staff covering it up? All these things were swirling out there. People were saying, oh, no, I've talked to him and I've had him on the phone, but nobody had really seen him. His wife had gone to China. She came back from China all this time since June 14th. It's now been a month since he hasn't officially been seen. Then what condition is Mitch McConnell in? That's the real question, isn't it? So, Mitch McConnell, I'm going to be just a little macabre. Yeah, I'm really tired. Chow, whatever his wife's name is. Connie Chow or something. Connie, isn't it? I'm really tired. I'm ready to go. No, you can't yet. Lindsey Graham died yesterday. You gotta pull it together. Pull it together, Mitch. Okay. For the cause. I'll pull it together. We gotta put a shirt on you. We gotta dress you up. Come on, put a little makeup on him. Make him look good. Come on. You can do it, Mitch. Slap him on the face. Give him some color. Can't you just see this whole scene? I mean, well, after all, we can't have two senators dying right now. We just had Lindsey Graham die. So I realize that's a little irreverent, but these are the things that go through my mind, and sometimes I feel the need to share them with you. 864-332-9355, 864-332-9355, or comment right here on Facebook. Love to know that you are with me here this morning. It's a lonely job sitting in this studio. And this is what a lonely job when you have me here? Well, you're not very conversive. Well, you never asked my real opinions. Okay, well, we'll discuss it. Anyways, Anyways, these are the things that go through my mind. Mitch may have been on his deathbed, but he had to pull it back together because he's needed. And, there's one thing that keeps a body going is being needed. So, Mitch, we appreciate you. But as I said, I don't really understand what the rush was unless it's just the shortness. And I guess that I don't know whether she took her seat in the Senate or whether she was just sworn in, and if they need her for a vote or something, she will be back. Maybe that's what it's all about. I do not know. But I really felt sad for her to have to be going through that. I don't believe, unless something has come through this morning, they have even announced any funeral arrangements for Lindsey Graham. Will he lay in state? Will he lay in state here in South Carolina? I mean, I'm sure this is a big, big, big job to decide how to do this. But those are questions for another day. But I got back on the bike, I rode the bike, and that's the way it rolls. So some of the questions. Who is going to represent South Carolina? Well, this is turning out to be the biggest horse race ever. We thought we had a race before. We all knew that probably Mark Lynch could not defeat Lindsey Graham in the primary, and that was true. But now Mark Lynch sees a great opening and is offering himself up again to be a candidate. He has already announced, yes, he's making another run at it. Unofficially, he felt he should ascend to be the candidate because he had run in the primary. But Mark, that's not how it runs. Anybody that wants to run can run and put their name in the hat, pay the fee, and be ready to roll. So who else is considering a run? Well, we hear that Ralph Norman has the money and is indicated an interest. I think I've told you I've seen where he is trying to see if he can get President Trump's endorsement. But that is probably not going to happen because who is President Trump leaning towards? He is leaning towards Representative Fry. So that's kind of where we're at on that. Now, another interesting development is the fact that Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evett, who lost in her gubernatorial runoff to Attorney General Alan Wilson, is reportedly weighing another campaign. News reports cite that she is interested in going to Washington, D.C. So does she have a chance? She would doubtless bring a lot to the table if she throws her hat in the ring because, after all, she has been a lieutenant governor. She's been in the constitutional office, so she is familiar. But does she have the real ability to do it? Her personal wealth means she could hold her own in the fundraising game with the big dogs, such as Norman, who's willing to shell out more big bucks on his shot at the seat, and she still has an organization in place from her recent campaign. Let me tell you something, Pam. This is personal opinion. I'm not sure I'd use the same campaign team for this, but maybe. I don't know. You would need to do, I think, some real soul searching about that. It says one dark cloud hovers above her, and it's a biggie. She's damaged goods. A national strategist based in Washington, D.C. was heard saying. Her last campaign showed ribbon cuttings and ceremonial groundbreakings make good photo ops, but they don't move voters. Her team badly bungled Trump's endorsement worse than any other candidate for any office in any state this cycle. So that's a question. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe you don't need this political team if you decide to run, Pam. But she is, it's interesting. This is an article in Fitz News. It says, Evatt remains the darling of the establishment wing of the party, the faction formerly referred to as Country Club Republicans or Chamber of Commerce Republicans. So this will be something to watch. Will Pam jump in the race? If anybody wants to know my personal opinion, I think she would do better to sit this one out. The biggest thing about this race, though, is nobody anticipated this one. Nobody anticipated that Lindsey Graham was going to die and this seat would open up. So I did hear a funny. Mark Sanford is considering running again. So there you go. See, this is the time when everybody decides to get in the race. Of course, the big problem for anybody wanting Lindsey Graham's seat, and yes, it is not Lindsey Graham's seat, but I'm calling it Lindsey Graham's seat because it's been his seat for so long that people just assume it's Lindsey Graham's seat, and it's his. The big problem for anybody trying to take that seat is President Trump. It will be difficult. It will be difficult for anybody that does not have the support of Donald Trump. And whether he weighs in and endorses somebody in this race or not is not the question. It's whether they have their support. You and I both know how rough it can be to be on the outs with Donald Trump, because we've seen it. So this is a question that I think really looms large. But Mark Sanford is now thinking about it. Come on, Mark. Of course, this is the way I always look at it. Bring on the money, I'll take the money. That's right. As a radio station owner, the idea of having a wide field and having everybody advertising just makes my heart sing. I'll just say it like that. All right, so that's a couple of ones. I don't know whether we're really close to anybody making a decision, but they do have to make the decision by the 28th of July. Figure there'll be a couple that are going to jump in early, like as of the 21st. Mark Lynch, as I said, has already announced, even though he can't officially sign up till the 21st, and that will go until the 28th. Then they have literally, I think it's 2 weeks, and then the primary is on August 11th. Talk about a fast-paced campaign. And anybody that is thinking about running had better go ahead and be lining out the ever-running postcards. I would highly recommend radio advertising to any of our people that are considering running, simply because radio can get out there quickly. Postcards, you have to count on the U.S. mail. And if you've had any experience with the U.S. mail lately, you could have postcards getting there after we've already had the primary. So personally, I think radio, okay, TV and social media, but let's let the postcards go in the wastebasket. Let's not do postcards this time. That's just my personal opinion. All right, now we're moving on to another topic here. Last night, we had the Planning Commission here in Greenwood met about approving or not approving the amendment for the moratorium. I will tell you, in the end, it got approved. So the Planning Commission has now endorsed a moratorium twice. Once when they recommended it, when they had the text amendment in front of them, and they recommended a 24-month moratorium. However, now they actually had a text amendment in front of them. They did eventually approve it. Although, having been at the meeting last night, there was a lot of conversation. One of the things that I thought, while it had been announced that there had going to be a planning commission, a special called planning commission meeting, it was not well, I'll say, advertised, for lack of a better way to say it. It simply said a special called meeting of the Planning Commission. Now, you did have to click on it and read what was behind it. And for that, they said they were going to take up the idea of the moratorium, the amendment for the moratorium. There were lots of questions. There were about probably not as many people there as would have thought have been if they had known about the meeting. I found out about it just out of happenstance. It was, but anyways, they had approximately 6 speakers last night speaking for them approving the text amendment, the moratorium. There was questions about some of the language in it. One of the things that was a question, well, there were several, and they really went through them. One of the things Lynn Brooks brought up about how much money the data center would bring in, and she went through a trying to figure out, was this how much the data center would bring in, or was it actually the amount of money that our electric bills, do power bills, any of these bills could go up, and yes, that would be more money. But in truth, and if you actually take 29,000 households, multiply it times $100 a month, you come up pretty close to $30 million, which was interesting. I'm not sure if it was entirely accurate from the standpoint, because if they increased if your electric bill increased, that money would go to the power companies. So I'm not sure I understood how that affects. But needless to say, there was a lot of thoughtful conversation. In the end, they did vote 9-0. There were 9 people that were present there for the commission. 9 people voted for having the moratorium. Now, that means nothing other than they approved the moratorium, because who has the power? County Council has the power. County Council will be taking this up for the 3rd and final reading and voting on it at the next meeting, which is this next Tuesday, the 21st, I do believe. They will be taking that up. That is one of the items that should be on the agenda. So while it has to have that 3rd reading to be final. There is possibilities that somebody's vote could flip. I would hope not. I would hope actually other people on council would join in putting forth this moratorium. So instead of a 4-3 vote, that maybe it would be 5 or 6 voting for the moratorium. Don't know whether that's going to happen. Don't know whether somebody will try to put forth a motion to table it and not take it up. So there's a lot of things that could, my point is, there's a lot of things that could still happen to keep this moratorium from becoming the law of the land, if you will. So everybody still needs to keep the pressure on County Council and show up at County Council next Tuesday. I find it interesting. That they have that they are going to, at this moment, still have it at the library. They are not having it at the Greenwood Performing Arts Center. They are having it at the library. So we will have to watch and see, but I'm going to tell you this, it's not over until this moratorium is in place. And then that's just the beginning of getting information. A year will go by very quickly if people are not on it and working on this. And I would hope that they would put together a group, not only staff, shall we say, from the county, but also possibly some individuals that are very interested in this. Somebody just brought up, what if somebody was sick on council and couldn't make the meeting, was sick enough that they couldn't even dial in to be part of the meeting. That could put it at a 3-3. These are all kinds of things that could happen. So that is why I'm telling you, don't think that this moratorium is in place. It is close, but it is not over the finish line yet. Thought you might also like to know, I think it was Lawrence last night that had their first reading on a moratorium for data centers. So Lawrence is going down that direction too. All right, so that's one. And we are going to be doing some more discussion about this. You are going to want to be tuned in Monday morning right here on WCRS. We're going to be having a big discussion, and that's all I'm going to say. Okay. Anyways, we've talked about who represents South Carolina. We've talked about the pause. That's really where we are. The pause on data centers. We need that moratorium finished. We talked about Anne and her bicycle story here this morning. And the moral to all these stories is, here's the moral to the story. Take it away.
Never give up, never surrender. Never give up, never surrender. Never give up, never surrender.
Ah, that's right. Never give up, never surrender. Never, never surrender. And that is why I rode the bike around the field one more time. I could tell you a story. I'm going to take a break. I want to tell you a story. Okay. When I was a wee child, I think I was maybe five. I may have told you that I wanted to take ballet, and the ballet teacher told me, this is back when life was tough, let me tell you. Anyways, I think they had a free ballet lesson you could go try out. I'm 5 years old. But anyways, it was an opportunity for a parent to bring a child and see if they really wanted to take ballet. Okay. So it was my dad. I just don't remember exactly all the issues on this, but it was my dad that took me. Probably because my mother was pregnant with my sister. Okay, that's probably the reason. Anyways, he took me to this class, and I don't know. I had the class, and so I came out, and I think my father asked me, "What do you think, Ann?" And I was like, "I like it, Daddy." And the teacher looked right at him and said, "Sir, your child does not belong in ballet class." I was devastated. Many of you may not believe this. This is just a hoot. I was the biggest kid in the class at age 5. Don't know what happened, but at age 5, I was the biggest kid. My parents went to a parent-teachers conference after I was in kindergarten, I guess. And my parents walked in and said, yes, we're Ann's parents. And the teacher, swear to God, this is a true story, looked at my parents and she goes, "Oh my God." And my parents just looked at her and she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you all would be giants." Because Ann was the biggest kid in the class, even bigger than the boys. I don't know what happened, folks. Somewhere it just went in reverse. But anyways, that's a funny story. Okay, now I was going to tell you the story I was really going to tell you. And the really story was, so as a consolation prize, my father decided I could take horseback riding lessons. You know, my parents really wanted me to have the ultimate childhood, so they were getting me out there to do things. We didn't have a lot, but if there was a free lesson or something, you know, they'd make sure I took it. All right, so we go, and I've been taking horseback riding lessons, and I'm doing pretty good. That teacher always put me on the biggest horse, and my little legs would almost stick straight out on top of that horse, riding around in the corral there. So I was doing pretty good. I was feeling pretty confident and everything. And so my grandmother came to visit, and my parents wanted to take her to see me at the lesson. So we go and get the lesson, And there we are with the lesson. And I fall off the horse. And my grandmother is going, oh my God, she fell off the horse. And I happen to be on the biggest horse, so it was pretty far down. So the teacher gets me up and she dusts me off and she goes, she's okay. Let me put her back up on the horse. And my grandmother and mother go, no, don't put her back up on the horse. My dad goes, yeah, put her back up on the horse. So that's where I learned you got to get back on and ride the horse. Well, I got back on the bicycle and rode the bicycle. So there you go. All right. Now, getting on to the other story I wanted to talk about. What time is it since I took a turn? The budget, real quick. I'll come back to the budget maybe tomorrow to see what they come up with on the budget. But they are really at an impasse down there on the budget for South Carolina. If they leave it as it is, which is a continuing resolution, none of the $350 million projects that the House has put in place will come to pass. They will just be not approved. They will not move forward, as is any raises. And the Senate, who has a package on property tax for senior citizens, would also not go through. It would just be a pass. That may be where they end up going. They're supposed to meet today to see if they can work it out. But that is a possibility. So that's just wanted to put that out there. As usual, our South Carolina, fortunately, 2 points. Fortunately, we do not shut down the government. We do have a continuing resolution in place should this happen. Unfortunately, we have a House and a Senate that can't seem to get their act together, and we've watched it all season long. So is it any surprise that this is where we're at on July 15th, 2026, when they were supposed to have the budget done and approved in June, ready to be started on July 1st? That is the travesty. So we'll see where they go today. This is a committee of, I believe, 6, three from the House and 3 from the Senate trying to work it out. You remember last year, I'll just bring this up because I like bringing it up. Last year, that's when the 6 of them got together, found out we had all this extra money coming into the Treasury, so they voted themselves a raise. Remember that? I just wonder if they don't come up with a budget, and of course what happened on that is that got knocked down, so they didn't get it. It was shown that it was not appropriate to be doing it as when they were still the same elected body. It is, they decided, appropriate for new Congress senators. It is approved in this next budget. However, if they don't approve the budget, I wonder if they'll get their raise. I don't know. I mean, they approved it, so I don't know. That's a question I need to find out. All right, moving forward here. The last topic I wanted to talk about here this morning, just because I thought it would be fun. Is there gold in Fort Knox? Last night, I think it was, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, was on Fox News. I think he was on Jesse Waters. And I wasn't really paying attention, but they were at Fort Knox. And I go, I need to check this out, because for years and years, back in 2010, 2009, there was a big, I'll use the word scandal, about is there gold in Fort Knox? So I've been following this story, and having been in the jewelry business, it is of particular interest. There were all kinds of conspiracy stories back then. Well, was there actually gold in there? Had anybody been in and audited the gold? Who's to say that they didn't put bars that were metal, right, and sprayed them gold or whatever, and so they weren't even real gold bars? These are all things. There are people that went to the door that tried to get into Fort Knox. Well, that wasn't going to happen. But then I started reading about it, and this is pretty interesting where they're at today. Do you know they actually, because of all of the, let's see, is this the one that had it? Because of all the problems with people believing that the gold was there, they have had some opportunities for people to go into the vault to see it. I did not realize that. Did you? So I'm going to talk about that. But did you know that it was 1937 when Fort Knox received its first shipment of gold from the Philadelphia Mint and the New York Assay Office? Did you know that back in 1942, Fort Knox was protecting founding documents such as the original Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights during World War II? And the documents were returned to Washington, D.C. in 1944. It has also stored valuable items for other government agencies, including the Magna Carta and the crown, sword, scepter, orb, and cape of St. Stephen, King of Hungary, before being returned to Hungary in 1978. Little known facts that you didn't know. But I find this very, very interesting. So, in 1974, the vaults were open to visitors, but it was to journalists. And that was September 23rd, 1974. And they allowed a group of journalists and a congressional delegation into the vaults to view the gold reserves. The Treasury Secretary allows visit when rumors persist that all the gold has been removed from the vaults. So, in 2017, see, this is after all this was going on about the gold and everything. Vaults were open for a second historic visit. That was August 24th, 2017. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin, and a congressional representatives visits the vault. The vault's open to non-authorized personnel for the first time since 1974. So that's a pretty interesting, I think, that it has not been open that much, but it has been open at times of distrust of our government where we need to know if the gold is there. And we found out that it was. Most interesting to me is the fact that gold's over $4,000 an ounce, right? But how much do they value the gold at? They monitor the gold, or they value the gold at $42 and $25, I think it is, $42.22 per ounce. I'm sorry, we're busy. So that is a problem. We had, it's $42.22 an ounce. The largest gold reserves, of course, is the United States of America. So that means that the gold there is worth billions. What is it? $10 billion. They've got, where is that price? Yep, let's see. Where is it? Let me go back to the other story. It's easier to read here. Total ounces of gold that we have. There's 147 million. Is that right? 147 million in Fort Knox, 54 million in West Point, 43 million in Denver, for a total ounces of 248,000. The book value is $10 billion. $10 billion. I think that is that at current value, but they're only booking it at $42. You know, for years, our country was on the gold standard, and gold was at $35 an ounce. I'm not sure how they came up with 42.22, but they don't, it's not on the books as a moving asset. It's locked in at 42. And they said last night that evidently, actually Scott Bessent didn't answer this question, but Jesse Waters asked him, and we're getting gold from Venezuela, and he kind of passed over that. So he said, yes, we're getting several things. So I don't know if they're getting gold or not from Venezuela. But it is good to know that there is gold in those vaults, and it has been assayed, and I think Scott Bessent said every year they let auditors in to audit and make sure that the gold is there. So that's just a little interesting fun fact story that I thought might interest you as far as whether the gold is really in Fort Knox. They say it is. I have not seen it with my own eyes, but I'm going to believe that we do have gold in those vaults. Actually, a lot of gold in those vaults. So it's kind of interesting. Okay, it is kind of interesting that our own government does not invest our gold. We keep it. We just keep the gold in the safe right there. And yet, I wonder what Dave Ramsey would say about all that gold sitting there. Would he be saying you need to invest it in mutual stocks? That's what you should be doing. Have faith in our economy. Well, looks like even the government doesn't have faith in the economy. Hey, that's a joke. That's just a joke on my part. Anyways, I'm Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. I do want to tell you, yesterday I went to find out about how to grow a moon garden through Clemson Extension. It was most interesting. It was one of their Lunch and Learn series, and I thought it was great. So, I thought it was great. So I just wanted to do a shout out to our local Clemson Extension office. The next Lunch and Learn that they are going to have will be August 4th. Grow Through the Seasons, Fall and Winter Gardening Made Easy. And that'll be horticultural agent Brandon Green. And September 1st, Designing Your Dream Yard, Landscape Basics Made Easy with Tom Nelson. So that's a couple of them coming up, but your local Clemson Extension office certainly has a lot of great programs. And sign up to find out about what's going on. I try to make sure I mention them, but you can also sign up to see more about it. So that's a few of the things that I find that are most interesting. Let's just say adieu today. How about let's just say adieu. I am going to see Mamma Mia tonight. This is one of those throwback movies from the past, and they are just great up there at Premier movie theaters. I highly recommend it. I think the tickets are just $5 for the throwback movies, so if you want to check out a fun movie from the past, I think when you see the movies from the past, you really, really, really realize how movies have changed. And no wonder we often sit there and go, can I watch an old movie rather than a new movie? Yes, because there's just so much action in those new movies, it's hard to stay up. Anyways, did I have anything else I needed to talk about? I don't know. We should probably do a quick rundown as to if there is anything going on after the big weekend, the really big weekend with the Festival of Discovery and Blues Cruise. So yesterday was National Cow Day, and of course Chick-fil-A was very, very busy. I heard a lot of people dressing up as cows, and then I talked to somebody last night and I said, well, you realize, she says, I went to Chick-fil-A yesterday. I said, well, that's great. Did you dress up as a cow? She goes, Ann, I did not dress as a cow, nor did I want to dress as a cow. I would prefer to pay for my food. I said, okay. But lots of people were dressed up as cow or cow attire, and it was a fun day right there. So Thursday is Fill Your Tumbler event at Pelican Snowballs. There you go. That's a nice plug right there. From noon to 9 for a way to enjoy flavors plus one topping. Beverages containers must be clean and be 40 ounces or smaller. Okay. On Sunday, celebrate National Ice Cream Day with the return of the second event, Scoops and Cups Cafe from 1 to 8. They, of course, are right there on the bypass. The business says to bring your most creative, crazy, clean container to hold your ice cream. One person's name will be drawn from the free ice cream for a year. OMG, that sounds like a good one right there. Plus, the Uptown Market Splash Pad is open through Labor Day, even though the kids go back to school. What is it, the 22nd, I do believe. So, also on Thursday is a paint and pour at Maxwell Crossing at 6 p.m. Create your own summer sunset with poppies and lavender, too. You can reserve your spot by calling Liz at 518-421-9885. That's 518-421-9885. And what else? The art show at the Art Center will be there through the 25th. That is the South Carolina Festival of Arts Juried Art Show at the Art Center. And there are a few other artsy type things out there, but not that many events. I think everybody needs a little break, The sunflower thing that is going on up at, where is it? At something Downs. Outside of Anderson, they have huge fields of sunflowers. People go up there, take pictures. Some people get sunflowers. It's a big event. I think this is the last weekend of that. So interesting stuff out there, but I think everybody is ready just to cool down and relax. So without further ado, I do want to tell you one more thing. This afternoon, we will have Danny Vaughn here. He is the new museum designer of the exhibits, and he will be here talking about his fascinating life. He really has done amazing things. He's worked for the Pentagon, he's worked for NASA, doing all kinds of exhibits. So tune in at 5 o'clock today. That'll be from 5 to 6. And enjoy our conversation about him and how he ended up at the Greenwood Museum, as well as the Road to the Revolution. So that's what we want to make sure that you are tuned in this afternoon at 5 o'clock. Of course, we'll be live on Facebook, live on the radio, and live streaming all the way to the space station. So at WCRS 1450am.net. All right, we're going back to Facebook Live, see if anybody's commented. Not a lot of comments here today. Well, okay. You wait. Just you wait. You'll want to comment on something, and I'll be looking forward to it. Hey, by the way, it never hurts. I see everybody, there's been lots of people tuning in this morning. Never hurts to be able to say, hi, Ann, or hi, Penny. Penny usually gets the highs, not me. But anyways, have a great day. That's going to do it for us right here at WCRS. Penny, you got anything to say here at the end? Got anything to say? I'm not talking to you. You got me up. I could have been sleeping in my own bed. Well, you're right. That's going to do it for us, everybody. Bye-bye. Have a great day. This is WCRS Radio. Take it away.